Hi, my name is Misha Calvert, and this is Film on Tape, an audio library of everything that I have learned as a filmmaker. I really hope that this is helpful to you in some way. And if it is, feel free to check out my website, mishacalvert.com. You can see my writing and directing there, and you can also sign up for very occasional emails that I send. All right, on to the show. I'm here to talk about film school today. To film school or not to film school? It's a question that a lot of people have. There's a lot of pressure to go to film school, and there's a lot of great programs now. There used to be not so many programs, and now it seems like every college has a film school, and they're all promising to make people filmmakers. There's also a lot more pressure to be a filmmaker, to be a content creator, and a lot more hype around filmmakers now. Also, in the past 5 years, we've had an explosion of females in Hollywood, which is so great, and we love that. And it's also giving all the women all around the world the idea that maybe they too can become filmmakers. So what you have now is, not that this is a bad thing, it's a very good thing, but this whole tidal wave now of not just men, but also non-males trying to be filmmakers because they're inspired. So there's this great big pressure to go to school and become, certified, legitimate, certificate-holding filmmaker. And I just want to give my thoughts on whether a film degree is necessary to be a filmmaker or not. So in my view, there's two really important things that film school gives you, and it may not be the things that you think film school gives you. So the two things that I think are genuinely extremely valuable that you can get out of a film program are, number one, networking, and number two, confidence. These are things that can be hard won in the real world, and if you don't have natural networking skills or you weren't born into a network, it can be very, very helpful to go through a film program and make connections with your peers or the people in the classes below or above you or your film teachers, or people that you meet who are impressed with your credentials being in a film program. All of this is helpful for networking. And like I said, if you don't have that kind of natural, social, liquid ability to network as you go through life, this could be a very helpful and a very anchoring way to start to build your network. So that's one thing that film school can definitely give you. And the other is confidence. I did not have a lot of confidence for most of my life. And there's a lot of reasons for that, some of them quite legitimate. And I think for a lot of people, you're born into a certain part of society and there's a lot of messaging around not being particularly worthy of confidence. So I think that one of the things that film school can do that is really legitimate is give you a sort of, give you some steel in your spine of like, I went to this institution, this place wanted me and I trained here and I have something that no one can take away from me. No one can take this certificate away from me or these years of training, right? And so that is valuable, and that's not to be downplayed. I think real world confidence is also extremely important to build. I'll talk about that in a second, but there's something about going through something hard, right? Like a boot camp or a degree program or just anywhere where you're disciplining yourself and you're going through something that's challenging and then coming out the other side, that innately is going to build confidence. So I do think that that's really valuable. Now, the question is it $70,000 a year valuable? That's what NYU charges right now. That's what Columbia charges. And other programs may be a little bit less, but still you're coming out of those 3-year, sometimes 2-year programs with a lot of debt. Okay, I am interrupting myself for one hot second to let you know that this month, secretly it's every month, I am doing a giveaway of 1 free hour of coaching with me to someone who leaves a 5-star review. Make sure that your first name and your last initial are in the review. Drop me a DM on Instagram and let me know that you submitted, and then I'm just going to pick at random. I really appreciate you listening, and I so appreciate you leaving a 5-star review. Thank you. And now back to the show. So, is it worth 6 figures plus to learn how to network and to grow your confidence during those 2 to 3 years of school after you've already come out of a BA or a BFA program. Sidebar, I was watching this reel on Instagram where all wisdom truly lies. And there was this clip with an interview with Orson Welles. And he was talking about Citizen Kane. It was such a great interview. Oh my God. I love Orson Welles, and he's such an absolute legend and an absolute genius. But he was talking about Citizen Kane, and they were like, why was Citizen Kane such a success? And first of all, he said ignorance. It was the sheer confidence of being ignorant and not knowing what I was doing. It's the best confidence on earth because you just have no idea that what you're doing is wrong. And because of that, you somehow get away with it. And he was blessed with, he said he was able to make it so good because he was blessed with a DP who on day one took Orson Welles aside and said, there's nothing that I'm going to do as the cameraman here that you cannot learn in 30 minutes. There's no secret of cinematography that you can't be told in 30 minutes and pick up. And Orson Welles was like, he was so right. There's no like magic about camera. I mean, you do it and you get more confident at it and probably more skilled, but the basics, anyone could do it. Anyone could learn how to shoot something. So it's just an interesting thought of like, do you really need a 3-year program to learn how to direct? I don't think so. I did not go to film school, and really I never had any film training of any kind in a classroom. There was a couple of screenwriting classes that I took in my mid-20s, but there were like, once a week on a weekend I would like go for 6 weeks and study with somebody. So it was not an intensive at all, and it certainly wasn't a degree program. For me, the answer was networking and confidence were not worth the price tag of the student loans, but that answer is going to be different for everybody. Another point to bring up is that a lot of the folks that I know who have gone through film school are no longer working in film. Or if, for instance, they've gone through a directing program, they're not directing. They're not doing the thing that they were so passionate about that they came out with all that debt for. They're just not doing it anymore. A couple are. And these are people coming out of the highest tier programs, the NYUs, the Columbias. But many aren't. So just something to think about. I talk about this too in my episode on whether to go to acting school or not. So you can have a listen to that if you want some further thoughts. I think the most important thing that you need to consider as a filmmaker is, where are you at with your hustle? Nothing can replace it, and they can't really teach it to you either. In fact, I think what I have seen is coming out of a degreed program and actually feeling a little bit of entitlement that offers should come to you. So in that sense, when that does happen, that actually depletes your hustle, which is very bad for your career as a filmmaker, because you have to hustle no matter how many films you've made, no matter how many millions of dollars you've grossed at the box office or whatever, like all filmmakers are going to have periods of their career where they have to hustle and they have to get the film off the ground. So because nothing can replace hustle and no one can really teach you hustle, that is an internal motivator. It has to do with grit. It has to do with your will force. It has to do with your purpose for being a filmmaker, your purpose in life, all these internal mechanisms that come together to create drive and resourcefulness and kind of do or die. You get it done no matter what, no matter how challenging. That's something that I have found mostly has been formed in the real world. And I think that is the single most important trait to building a career as a filmmaker. So for me, that's the only reason that I'm able to make films is because I have a very high hustle, and it's really proven invaluable. One of the factors in film school is that they make you do a senior thesis. So if you've never made a film before, then you have a little bit of structure, a little bit of accountability, some resources and assistance from the school to help you make that first film. That can be really helpful. I mean, unless you have somebody showing you what to do for your very first film, or working with you, or helping you produce it, or helping you direct it, somebody who knows what's happening and how to do it, it can be very hard to get that first film made. So in that sense, that senior thesis film, or whatever films you make along the way, those can be quite helpful too. But also there's a lot of BA and BFA programs where you're doing that now anyway. So, or adjunct classes where you can go and learn how to make a film. Like, there's so many people making content now that I don't know if it's worth going into debt just to be able to have that structure around making like a quote real film for your senior thesis film. And I've made short films for as little as $5,000. So to me, the numbers don't add up. That, you know, it's really not worth what you're paying in order to be able to make a short film that you could probably make for like $10,000, $15,000 and still have it be pretty good. So in summary, I did not go to film school. I do not think that it is necessary for most people to go through film school in order to be successful. To me, it's a nice to have, not a need to have. And I certainly couldn't afford it. So if you do have the resources and you want a boost in confidence and you want a boost in networking, then I would consider it. And if you don't have those resources, then I would say as long as your hustle is high, you're actually in an advantage. Hustle is the determining factor in your success. So if it means that you're going to be working harder and doing more to try and get those opportunities, I'd say you're actually at an advantage not going. Thank you so much for listening to Film on Tape. I really hope that it was helpful to you in some way. And if so, please feel free to leave a 5-star review so that other people know this is a good podcast. If you want to check out my work as a writer-director, you can see it at www.mishacalvert.com, or drop me a DM. The best way to get a hold of me is on Instagram at Misha Calvert. See you next time.